What is up, GBA people and people from Twitter 2 days into the future who are here to critique me and my partner on our power rankings. But this week I'm not joined by Rob. Rob, unfortunately, due to a very, very busy schedule, he is unable to do power rankings, but I have another good friend joining me. Introduce yourself, good friend.
Let's be honest, it was Steve's video that drove him away.
It drove him away. X gave it to him too hard.
What's up, guys? My name's Aster. I'm here with Jarret this week as a replacement for Rob, just for this week. For now, and we're going to try to get through these power rankings as quickly as humanly possible.
Fair note, Aster did not have a super long time to prep this out because we were a little short on time this week trying to get this done, but I think we compiled pretty good evidence supporting our points, and Aster here, he's a pretty good League player, very good friend of mine, so I'm pretty sure we'll be just fine. But Aster, are you ready to get it started, my dude?
Absolutely. Go ahead, my friend.
Alright, so at number 16, me and Aster both agree Tom is going to be our last place for now. Now, obviously, all these games this week were extremely close, so saying one coach is going to be the bottom of the barrel for like the entire time is ridiculous. Any coach can basically be any coach any given day, but I had to put Tom last just because he had a rough matchup, but his play and prep were subpar, and it would have been the largest loss if he hadn't crit the Don fan at the end. And I think you saw a few things with his prep of just like the toxic, just not putting toxic on Celesteela to help deal with Rotom, or just not doubling into Zygarde dog form enough to put some offensive pressure on him. The Nidoqueen was nice, but Tom himself identified Rotom Heat as the biggest threat to his team and did not bring a rocker. I have kind of real problems with that because that's how you deal with Rotom Heat. He knew Lum Crawl was coming. That was just kind of a problem for his team. P2 was not a bad Magearna counter, but if it was Calm Mind, it was going to put in actual work against him. But luckily it wasn't. He did have offensive checks to it, so not too bad. It worked out. Banded Dodge, best set, only set, and Incineroar, Choice Scarfed, but with that speed, it just has to run Jolly. And I think this game proved a few of the points I made in the draft analysis of how his team just doesn't have the offense, it looks like, because Lars, I said it before, he has no walls, but he was able to wall out Tom's team with just a Decidueye, a Donphan, and a Latias, which I thought was crazy. Aster, you saw this game. Give me some thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Incineroar, while Tom drafted it to get some momentum with U-Turn, as we saw, if it didn't crit the Donphan, this was an easy 4-0 in Lars's favor. And just, again, like you said, the offense on his team was not able to come through. Lars was just able to build a core to be able to handle all of his offense, and that pretty much gave him the win. 2-0 over instead of a 4-0, but still a solid win for Lars. Unfortunately, Tom not able to put in the correct prep for this week. Hopefully we see him come back next week. Hopefully we don't have to put him in 16th, but for now, Tom is going to be at the bottom. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think basically this just came down to him just... I agree, his Rotom was a huge problem for his team. I just don't think he prepped or played aggressively enough to beat it, and that gave Lars so much momentum. He was able to get his wall breakers in and just start doing work to Tom's team. He switched around his offense beautifully. Gotta give Lars credit.
Did Nidoqueen not have rocks?
No, it was AV, so that was kind of a big problem I had with the prep. I mean, you identify Rotom Heat as your biggest threat. Yeah, rocks aren't too necessary, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if anything, his Nidoqueen should have been split F with rocks at the very least, so yeah.
Yeah. But you have any final thoughts for Tom? I think we kind of covered everything. Just pretty easy to call match. It was kind of the largest margin of victory, like I said, if he hadn't been crit at the end. But you got any closing thoughts, Aster?
I think that's about it. I think we pretty much covered everything that was important to this matchup. Not enough things on Tom's team put in enough work, so that's going to wrap it up.
We'll see if he can turn that offense around, but for now, he's going to have to sit at the bottom of the power rankings. But do you want to talk about number 15, which we agree on again?
Yeah, at number 15, we have Tup, who was up against Callum this week, the Alola Athletic. I have trouble saying that name. Against the Pittsburgh Piratas, and Tup, I felt like Tup, I actually locked in Tup for this week because I thought that I thought that he had the matchup, but it turns out that he didn't, and he wasn't able to utilize his defensive core as well as he should. He pretty much brought straight offense against Callum, which when I was looking at team matchup, I really thought that either the Slowbro or at least the Blissey would come, but he really only had Tangrowth as a wall, and Callum really capitalized on that. He just got rid of it, and then he was able to do his work. And yeah, what do you have about this match?
I have to agree with a lot of what you said, and I just want to point out how it's probably not a coincidence Rob bet his future daughter's virginity on Tup's team. Tup lost week 1. Where's Rob at? I believe
he's gone.
He's fucking long gone, my dude. But yeah, I had problems with his prep as well. You and I are kind of both in agreement. Life Orb isn't the best league item. You
Absolutely,
know?
yeah.
And so I think Steelium Z Hydra with Iron Tail would have been better because he only needed Flash Cannon really for the Aromatisse, so might as well just hit that fucking thing as hard as you can, you know?
Exactly.
Again, another point I made in the draft analysis, Rocksetter's not very good on his team, didn't bring Blissey, Nidoking got O-Code getting up rocks and trying to pressure an Excadrill, so he probably should have went to Tangrowth there. But I will give Tup credit on the Chandelure. That was a good set. Couldn't have predicted the light screen. That's just rough. But the two things, Tup, I'm going to have to just roast you on, my dude. You have one of the only Emboar switch-ins in the game. In Slowbro. And a defensive Slowbro would have beat the set Callum brought. There was no Wild Charge.
Yeah, well, I mean, he couldn't predict that either. I mean, Wild Charge was a real threat from the Emboar, so there was no way to know that.
Is defensive leftover Slowbro 2-hit KO'd by Wild Charge? I do not believe so.
Possibly. I would have to check that, but...
Yeah, with Toxic, I don't believe it is. I'm sure we'll get fucking calcs in the comment section, don't worry. But the big thing for me was I just didn't see prep for Shaman or Crobat on Tup's team. This was one thing. Nidoking, because it was his rocker, it got so relied on this game. It was his Shaman answer. It was his Wall Breaker. It was his Crobat answer because it had Ice Beam and Sludge Wave. It was his rocker. And once he lost it, he lost the ability to break Shaman and Crobat, which both put in massive work versus team. If he'd have brought the Blissey, Shaman might not have been as big of an issue. But since he didn't, I mean, that's exactly what I was kind of talking about. Nidoking just got relied on too much and got blown back by that EQ.
You have to give Tup credit for noticing that Callum has amazing physical wall breakers as well in Excadrill, Tyranitar, Emboar, very, very, very powerful wall breaker. So it's kind of it's obvious in some way that he wouldn't bring Blissey, but at the same time, Callum also has some special attackers like the Shaman, like you said, that would have been pretty much put to a stop. If he would have just brought Blissey. So I think Tup just...
Well, you see, Aster, I don't think people know this, but I'm a stall player. I don't think anyone has...
I think everybody knows you're a stall player at this point, Char.
Bring Blissey every week.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, honestly, I think that wasn't a terrible call on his end, but if he would have recognized the Shaman as a threat. Maybe it's because he had Hydreigon, because he had the Chandelure, you know. It didn't look as big of a threat, but it did end up being... Callum's kill leader for the week, so 2-0 win for Callum. Unfortunately, Tup not able to bring it back. Once again, we're hoping to see better things from Tup. We know that he's an improved coach over the last couple of seasons, so we hope that we can see some better performances from him in the future. But I think that wraps it up. Do you have any final comments on Tup's match?
Bring Blissey.
Other than bring Blissey.
No, then I'm good. But you want to go? Go ahead. Go ahead. Take it.
No. You take number 14.
Nah, you do it.
Go for it.
Okay. Jesus, we're not doing this. Okay. At 14, again, me and Aster agree. Kind of same conclusion. We both have Duncan and the Free State Torracats. The reason I have Duncan at 14, his prep kind of showed he's very new to League format, in my opinion. Venu's not bulky. Mega Venu is. That's kind of a problem I had. I feel like his Granbull was too in between being offensive and being defensive because it couldn't quite hit the Tapu Fini hard enough, but it couldn't also quite wall anything. It was really weird. Two rockers when both of them come in on Tapu Fini and set up the rocks back up after scaring it out. I don't agree with that prep. And the biggest thing is during the draft analysis again, I said his team would have to lean on Mandibuzz. And the one thing on his team that can wall Conkeldurr, Mandibuzz didn't come. Conkeldurr got 3 kills. Jar is a god. No, he's not. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, no,
I'm not a role model.
I think Duncan definitely brought a lot of standard-ish looking sets. Other than you said the Granbull, right? Was kind of not too much leaning toward defensive, but not too offensive either. I think Geo just played an excellent game. I don't think there was any way around it. Conkeldurr, both of their kill leaders got 3 kills, Lando I and Conkeldurr, but Geo recognized that he had to save the Conkeldurr for the late game to make sure that he could Mach Punch the Weavile, and that's exactly what he did. So I think Duncan didn't play too bad, and I'm hoping that he can bounce back from this win He's got an okay team, I would say, after having used it, and you remember that, right?
Wow, just shameless plug yourself out. Why don't we just flash a link of your YouTube channel right on front of the middle of the screen right now?
You do that. All right. I think Duncan definitely could have prepped a little bit better. Again, like you said, Venusaur is not Mega Venusaur. It's not the bulkiest mon, so Geo just came through with his team. I got the 1-0 win.
I do want to give Duncan a few shout-outs. He did have some good moments. He played around Gengar really, really well. I don't necessarily agree with the Specs Gengar Geo brought, but he did play around the Gengar really, really well this game. He sacked something. I don't agree with sacking Celebi necessarily, but sacked it, went into Weavile, pursued it. That was a really good play. The one thing I just have to knock him on is you gotta click Ice Shard at the end of that game versus it's Weavile versus a Conkeldurr. You don't know Geo's spread. It could be a high roll could kill. You could also crit. The odds of you critting or him being basically no HP, because I believe if you run a calc on Showdown, the standard Conkeldurr is just max HP. If he wasn't max HP, because this is League format, you might have had a chance to kill Duncan. So I just say, if they have a Mach Punch user, it is going to have Mach Punch, because you have a Weavile. So just take the chances you can. Maybe play for the crit. It's kind of just whatever you can do to win, you know?
Pokemon is a game of odds, and I definitely agree that he should have done that at the end of the game, absolutely. So yeah, that wraps it up for Duncan, I think, at number 14, right?
That was 14, but you and I disagree on number 13.
This is where things start to get a little bit different, yeah.
A little. Basically, everyone from now on is different. But I have Steve at number 13. You have Envy. Who do you want to talk about first?
Let's start with Steve.
Okay, so, guys, I just want to address something. I can read. I know Steve won the battle. All right? I can read, but if you want to see standings, Dallas was nice enough to put together a section of the fan doc showing you who's in a playoff position. Go look at Steve be 1-0 over there. But right now, Steve in power rankings cannot go higher until he shows me he can win without hacks. George had this game at multiple occasions. The Willow on Zoroark caused his Taunt Mew to basically be useless. That's unfortunate. No Heal Bell on the Togekiss basically again cost him the game. Missing a Leaf Storm on Superior again cost him the game. And misclicking with his Volcarona again cost him the game. So George had that game 4 different times, lost every single one of them. But I did move Steve up still because I did like some of his prep. I did like the Mudsdale, even though I don't agree with Sandstorm.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't agree with Sandstorm. I know its coverage isn't deep or anything, but, I mean, George's team is not that knockoff spam heavy. It really isn't. It's got Drapion, that's about it. But the Scarf Zoroark put in some work. The Banded Lycanroc confused me because, like, he has a Registeel, and if he'd have brought it, it would have done 0, but he didn't bring it, so maybe Steve saw that coming. Good prep there.
Yeah, no, I think Steve's video was absolutely hilarious. Like,
I would like to respond. I would like to put a formal rebuttal out there. So I believe can we roll the clip?
Yeah, let's roll the clip. Go for it.
Here, that Assault Vest is dirty. Whoa! Saucebucks 1-0, season 7. Fuck you, Jar. Fuck you, Rob. Really? George, the number 1 team, me, the number 16 team? I don't think so. Things are changing. The GBA is on notice. Battler X is here, and he's not going anywhere.
All right, now that that's done.
in response to Battler X's comments, your team is trash.
No,
all right, now that that's out of the way,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
The only reason that I have Steve a little bit higher is because, of course, he did pull out a win. We do have to acknowledge that he did what he needed to do to win the end game. That's always respectable. And the Leaf Storm miss did, of course, matter very heavily. And AV Mudsdale was able to come through at the end. I'm sure he was super happy when that happened. But no, I think Steve didn't play a terrible game. I think it's just his team, man. It's his team that you look at it and it doesn't look like anything's a huge threat right off the cuff. And that's the biggest problem with me. Hopefully he's able to patch up that Dark and Ghost weakness that everybody, even the people watching the draft, were able to identify. Let's see if he's able to do that. Maybe a few free transactions later on, but hopefully he hears this.
I'm sure we will be told to suck the fattest part of something this week.
Oh, I'm sure, but like I said, I mean, Steve still played the end game well. I have no problem with that, and we'll see what he can do next week. Hopefully, he can continue this winning trend, unlike other seasons, and prove us wrong. Because I'd really like to see him do that.
All right, but I believe you have a different number 13, so we can't just spend all our time on Steve. Let's move on to MV.
I do. I have MV at number 13. You have him at number 12, so they're interchanged, MV and Steve, on our rankings. MV, to me, I just, like, if you're going to see the pursuit coming, then don't bring in your Alakazam until you've dealt with the Deblade, because Alakazam could have put in a lot of work in the late game. Excellent prep from Gator, bringing the light screen. We'll talk about that later, but he played that. He got that little mini sweep with Hawlucha. Amazing end game right there. But no, I think MV, especially the physical Empoleon, there's a lot of things that just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Physical Empoleon was kind of cool. Also, HP flying on Lando was also very cool because he knew that he couldn't run Sky Strike because of the possibility of Hawlucha setting up a sub on him. So I did like that, but overall I think MV can prep a little bit better, and he got shown what it's like to get beaten by somebody that's new to the league this week.
Yeah. The only comment, MV, I think this week he just brought a little too much heat, you know? The Lando...
No. Whoa. You do not tell MV that he brings too much heat. There's no such thing.
I believe the Lando had an EV in every stat.
That's amazing.
It's pretty impressive, I'm not gonna lie. But I think, like, SD Empoleon, like, I don't know, maybe...
At least bring knockoff on it for the Latios.
I've still never seen an Empoleon put in work.
Yep, till this day.
Not to this day, I have not. But, yeah, I actually think he, maybe Alolan Muck. He said he was really scared of Latios, but didn't bring his Alolan Muck. I know it had a little bit of a bad matchup, but if you're going to be super scared of something, it kind of dealt with Doublade as well, so maybe it had a little bit of a better matchup than he might have thought. But I'm not going to critique MV's prep. He's probably better at prepping than I am. But I think, honestly, his draft is what cost him in prep. Yeah, Yachi Scarf Lando is going to be MV's set most weeks because his team needs Yachi or Scarf Lando. It's just, it does. He doesn't really have a Hawlucha counter on his team, and that's kind of one thing that led me to, if something can get faster than MV's Rain, he is in a lot of trouble. Because he doesn't have walls to take the hits from them. So if something like a Hawlucha, for example, can get faster than anything on his team, and it gets set up, it obviously, as we saw, is going to pick up some kills this week.
Anything with agility or rock polish, absolutely. I like the Scarf Pelipper. That was cool prep. It caught the Whimsicott off guard. But again, like you said, it's going to be hard for him, especially if he runs into mons that he doesn't have switch-ins to, which I see a common trend on his team. Just like the Hawlucha, there are going to be other mons that he's going to have a really hard time prepping against, and if his opponents are smart enough to take advantage of that, then they might be able to pull out some wins against him. So.
Yeah, but I do give MV credit. His prep was pretty good for the mag. He dealt with the biggest threat to his team turn 1. I do have some critiques for Gator on how he played. Memo's fine, obviously, but he lost a coin toss. That's rough. And he played well. I almost think he expected a little too much from Gator, who he's a great player, but he is new to format. That's something you guys have to remember. It takes a while to get as creative as somebody like MV, as MV helped Dan to his championship before he even started playing, so he has that experience. And he's like talking about like DD, Ground DMZ, Latios, and I'm just like, Gator's only played one league match that I've ever seen, so I'm not sure if that's like where he is at this point. He can definitely get there, but I don't know if that's where he was at that point. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's probably why MV didn't bring the Muck, was because of that fear of DD Latios with Earthquake. Ground DMZ would have taken care of the Muck, but anyway, moving on. Do you want to get us to number 11?
Yes, I believe we also have these two mixed around a little bit. I have Dan at 11 and Crimson at 10. You've got Crimson at 11 and Dan at 10. So who you want to talk about, Dan first or Crimson?
I'm going to talk about Crimson first because I think Crimson had a really good prep, really good match. He played really solidly, so even putting him 11th kind of feels bad because I feel like he should be a little bit higher up with how close the game was. Also, it was a 50-50 at the end of the game. That's what cost him. If he would have just stayed in and clicked Hidden Power Flying with his Kyurem, then he would have knocked out the Buzzwole because he was Choppleberry, and of course Mono didn't necessarily know that just yet. But no, overall, I think he did a great job. That roll, though, on the on the 1,000 arrows, I talked to Crimson about it actually, and it was an absolute min roll on the 1,000 arrows and a max roll on the Hidden Power Ice. The analytic Hidden Power Ice from the Magneton, so that was a really interesting moment. But I think Crimson has showings of knowing how to use his team. I think he's going to He's already shown us that not he's improving, but he's improved. He is already a lot better than he was the last time we saw him here. We've seen some great things from him in the past, like beat up Crocodile. And I'm curious to see what he's going to do with his Z Crocodile, but overall, really good prep. The only issue that I had with him this week was not having like a dedicated counter to Jirachi, when that's one of the biggest problems to your team. He was banking on no flinches with his Crocodile at some point during the game. That was the only ick I had with him. But I mean, he still did lose, so we do have to put him a little bit lower. But I'm looking to see what he can do with his team for sure. What do you got on this match?
Like, Crimson's super impressive this week. I agree with you. He's here now. He is improved now. Like, everyone used to talk about Crimson as an improving coach. He went toe-to-toe with one of the best battlers in the league in Monotui this week. I know Mono's prep made the game a little closer than it should have been, but Crimson's play impressed me. I found a few... I'm going to have to agree. I think his prep is on the right track, and that's why I have him higher than Dan. I think Dan is... I'll get to Dan. I think he's going to standard. Crimson's on the right track, but a few things that he could have... done differently. I didn't really see the point of Z bulk up since Mono has so many revenge killers. I'm pretty sure like Buzzwell will still do 80% even at +1 defense or something like that. Mantine, Scald, you know. The Curum set was definitely cool, but I don't think it needed HP flying. Draco Oko's no HP 100% of the time on Buzzwell. And he could have just run HP Electric, and if that Curum was HP Electric, then Crimson definitely has that game.
Yeah, actually, on that switch into Greninja, I held my breath when I saw that moment because I really thought it was HP Electric and he was going to catch it off guard. But it did end up being HP Flying. Like you said, any special move thrown at Buzzwell, while it does have insanely high HP, is going to do a lot of damage. So I think HP Flying was a little bit unnecessary, but it was still cool.
It was cool, and like that's what I'm talking about. Crimson's on the right track with his prep, but it's just not quite there. But his play, very good, did what he needed to do. That double at the end, I mean, he had the guts to make the double at the end. Mono just had the guts to actually stay in and click superpower. He used his Crook as a Rachi check. You talked about that one. I liked how he played. The min-max mag was unfortunate, but overall Crimson really impressed me this week, and that's why I just have him that little bit above Dan.
Yep, and I have Dan a little bit higher. I don't know if you want to start talking about this one.
No, you have him higher. Go ahead.
All right, I have him a little bit higher because I think Dan has shown us once again why he is one of the regarded as one of the top players in league format, and has been for a long time, at least among these higher followed leagues like the GBA. He gets a lot of attention because he's a phenomenal player, and I think he brought a lot of really cool sets. The Terrakion to take advantage of a Draco Meteoring. Goudreau was fantastic. The only problem I really had with this team was, I mean, there is no check to Tapu Bulu. I mean, unless you have a Celesteela or a Skarmory, but you can get a little bit creative with some stuff. I know you had mentioned when we were talking about it earlier, a Rocky Helmet instead of a Shukaberry on the Toxapex to bring down the Bulu with it. Would have been some great prep, absolutely. What else do you have on the match?
I mean, Dan, he played great. I don't have problems with his play. I think he just, like I said in the video we also recorded, that he just bet on the wrong hand at the end of the day. He bet on no Haze Milotic. Haze Milotic, he lost the game. Very close versus a team I regarded as the best team in the draft. I think he had a poor matchup, turned it into a very, very close game. I just think his prep, and this is the reason I put Crimson above Dan. It was good, but it was standard. You know, there was nothing that surprised me or surprised John, really. He did screw me over a little bit because he's got a kill with the Z, fighting with the Z move, which is my bold prediction that there will be less than 6 of those. So he's won already, so that kind of hurts. But yeah, his prep was good, but it's just standard. Like I said, Rocky Helmet Pex would have been a little bit better. I just think if you're going to beat somebody like John who has team matchup, you're just going to have to bring that little extra spice, that little extra heat in order to push the final line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think swapping up T-Bolt for Flamethrower on the Clefable at the last minute was a great idea on his part, was a great call, because he was able to hit not only the Skarmory but also the Tapu Bulu on the switch. However, that damage was negligible because John was just able to control the game with his horn leeching Tapu Bulu. and that pretty much sealed it up for him. But no, I think Dan will come through this season, and we'll see better things from him and wins for sure. But this game unfortunately didn't go in his favor. Of course, he got it wrong with the Hayes Milotic, like you said, but I think his play was super solid for what kind of matchup he had. So.
Yeah, he definitely played the beginning and middle game perfectly in order to create that close game, so I give him props for that. But we have to move on. We can't talk about Dan and Crimson all day. And I believe the next one we probably want to talk about, because we get a little mixed up here towards like 9 through 4. So do you want to talk about Chimp next? I have Chimp at 9. You have Chimp at 8, I believe.
Yep, I have Chimp at 8th. Well, you have him at 9th, so I think it's more appropriate if you talk about him first.
Yeah, sure. His prep was good. It's kind of echoed back to Chimp from last season. Very solid prep, very, very good. I think he did have a bad matchup, as we talked about. We actually talked about this game before it happened. We talked about how Zapdos is just a gigantic threat to Chimp's team. He very, very could not break it, and you kind of saw that even with a Silvally that was Rock. Yeah, he still couldn't break it. Unfortunately, Thundy did not get its leftovers. I don't know if Makati gets a point there for a misgen. He said matches will be lost to misgens, but I don't know if he gets a point there. I liked the taunt to prevent the Zap from just straight up destroying his Thundurus 1v1. Specs Volk was good. Very nice Zap bait. Unfortunately, Coop did have the nice Reuniclus to stop that. I loved his Fortress set. It was great. It stopped Reuni from just destroying him, and it got up his hazards, created some momentum for him. I was very impressed with that set. Belly Dramazu, very nice. No problems with that. Only thing, I didn't really agree with the specs on the Kyurem Black. This was kind of a problem I had with this prep. I was thinking maybe a Chople Berry, so the Breloom couldn't revenge, because Cooper's team is very, very slow. The only revenge killer to Kyurem Black is either Scarf Darmanitan, which you have a Volcanion. Predict those 50-50s right, you can get some momentum on your side. And Breloom, Mach Punch. If he'd ran Chople and then clicked Ice Beam on the Breloom and straight like O-code that thing, he would have been in a very good position because he still would have had his Kyurem, which was the only thing on his team that beat Zapdos. And you also, on that Chople set, you weren't specs, you could run Roost or something, and then you could heal up on the Zapdos, creating Kyurem to be better longevity in the game. And I was really happy to finally see someone bring defensive Silvally. I always see it offensive. I give Chimp props there. He brought the set Silvally he needed.
At the very least, though, the one thing I have about his Silvally set is that it wasn't even... it wouldn't have outsped it anyway, but it wasn't even EV to outspeed a min-speed Zapdos. I know it was brought specifically for the Swellow, but if you can deal with the electric and flying type as well as the other flying type on the team at the same time, I think that would have been a little bit better for him. At the very least, he would have had a chance to outspeed the Zapdos. Cooper did outspeed modest base 70, so that would be Volcanion, so it wouldn't have outsped anyway, but I would have still liked to see that prep from Chimp.
That's very fair. But I think we covered that game pretty well. I don't want to necessarily go to his opponent in that game because we both have him a little higher. How about we talk about George? He's around that same area. I have George at 7. You have him at 9. So do you want to talk about George since you have him a little bit lower?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about George. George, as we know, is just one of the best league players of all time. He's amazing, he's phenomenal, and he's drafted a great team. But I think he played great. I think he got haxed out, unfortunately. I do have to put him a little bit lower because he lost, otherwise he would have been higher. But I think George just brought all the sets that he needed to. What do you have about it?
I completely agree. George prepped well, played well. Besides the getting haxed, I think he would have won that game. I need to see him not get haxed before I move him into top 5.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a big thing.
It's hard to say, though.
Yeah, because you never know. He could get haxed every week, so he'll just stay there for now. I don't want to put him in there and he'll go 0-2. It'll look bad, but he did have a very cool Serp set. I like the sub for T-Wave Crest, etc. Very solid Mew. His prep was just so good this week, honestly. A Scarf Toxic Chomp actually did put in a lot of work. That's not even something I really recognized, just because I saw Crest. I was like, Chomp's probably defensive or something. But that was well done on George's part. But I mean, it's hard to talk about play when he just got haxed. I think George, like you said, best player. He won the championship. I'm going to keep him in the top 10 or the top 7 for now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to... he's probably going to go up on my rankings too, absolutely. But for now, I just have him in 9th. Moving on, we already talked about that match, so let's move on to who do you want to do next?
I think we're gonna have to do a little bit of a jump here because I don't want to skip over Gator, but this is the largest difference we have. I have Gator at 8, Aster has Gator at 4. So we're gonna talk about Gator, get a little bit out of order here, just a lot of craziness right there, but it's fine. Aster, you have Gator higher. Why don't you go first?
I really like the way that Gator's using Pyukumuku. I've seen him use it before in the past, and honestly, the light screen into baton pass into the Halucha was fantastic. I absolutely love that. The Calm Mind Latios was also quite nice. I really liked its set. Very versatile in what it could hit. And I just like the way that Gator played. Honestly, the biggest thing for me, the reason I have him at number 4 is that he was able to take down MV, somebody that we saw do super well last season, and I think it was kind of that surprise factor.
You think he's that re-emerging coach? He's like MV this season.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna impress us this season. Honestly, I think he's gonna show us some of his standard play skill being transferred into league play. Because if you're coming from Smogon or Showdown, while you might not always have the reflex to come up with creative and innovative sets, it will come with time. And I think just as it did with MV, just as it did with Chimp last season, Gator, being part of that crew, is going to adapt. He's going to get used to league format, and he's really going to show us what he's got. So this is why I have him a little bit higher up for this week. And if he doesn't prove me right, then he'll drop a little bit. But I really like what I saw. Obviously, like you said, we did see that his experience in league format didn't shine through in his prep, but he was able to pull out a 3-0 win. He did get the little mini sweep with the Halucha, so I'm going to leave him up there for now. Why do you have him at 8th?
Just because, like you said, I saw some of his newness shining through in league format. Very standard, and a big thing for me was that everybody, even like the fans, you guys, identified Mamoswine as the biggest threat to MV's team, and I have to agree. That thing O-code or two-shot everything on MV's team. MV was extremely weak it is extremely weak to just ground ice coverage in general, Mamoswine obviously being the best at that. So I know rocks are crucial versus a team with a Dragonite. That's just kind of a weakness with Gator's team. He's got 2 rock setters and one didn't have a good matchup, so he was forced to bring rocks on Mamo, but he lost his biggest offensive option 2 turns into the game, and that's kind of that newness showing through. It's like, hey, this is league format. You don't have to just run Sash Mamoswine lead. Get your rocks up later when you come in on something, because you're going to threaten out a crap ton of NB's team. You know? I did like the Lottie, but it was beat by a Alolan Muck, who I thought MV should have brought, personally. I mean, obviously, he was expecting like the Groundium Z set, but I honestly don't think Gator's there prep-wise yet. But he showed he's a great player. He showed that he can set up with the Pyukumuku. I mean, I thought Pyukumuku would be bad. He's going to prove me wrong, it looks like. But I would just like to see a little more innovation again, kind of like Dan. But he did pull out a great win this week. I just want to see that little more innovation before I start putting him up the ladder a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think some matches are deserving of innovation, and other matches you can bring a lot more standard things, especially if you have the matchup. But in Gator's case, I think I also want to see a little bit more. You have him at 8th. I have him at 4th. I think that's fine where he is. And he'll move up and down as the season goes along. He might even just go all the way to the top and never move from there, so we'll see. But up at number, what are we talking about
6 and
next?
7, I think Geo.
Yeah,
so.
I have Geo at 7th. You have him at 6th. Again, we talked about this match a little bit earlier. I think Geo played a Geo game. He played very, he did what he needed to do turn by turn. He kept his Conkeldurr, like I said, for the end game. He did just a great job of controlling the game, making sure that Weavile didn't absolutely destroy him. As you guys can see, it only got 1 kill, and then it died in the end game. So he let his Arcanine go down to a bullet punch from Metagross, which is hilarious to me. And he didn't let his Arcanine get any kills. And I think it was somebody's bold prediction that Arcanine would have more kills by the end of the season than Entei ever got for Geo.
In the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, we'll see about that, because Arcanine is going to be shoved into a defensive role more often than not, and we saw that this week. But no, I think Geo did a great job. I would have liked to see a little more work put in by Salamence, but he got the job done with Conk, so...
Definitely. That I have to agree with you on most of those points. I have Geo a little bit higher because, again, I liked his prep and play showed like those little flashes of brilliance we always see with Geo, like that Solar Beam Entei from a few seasons ago. Like, I liked the Arcanine set, I really did. I thought that was a really cool idea for how to beat a Alolan Marowak. That was really innovative. Offensive Pharaoh was very cool, but... he didn't bring Bronzong, and I know Gravity Lando, U-Turn Lando, and Knockoff Lando are a thing, but him not spamming Earth Power versus Geo's team seemed worth all of that, because Lando got 3 kills, and all it had to do was spam Earth Power, and if Finny ever came in, click Sludge Wave. I think bringing Bronzong was worth him not doing that. Now, if Duncan brought Gravity Lando, he could have been in a little bit more trouble. But again, Duncan's new. I don't think he's quite there. Now that he's saying it, I know we kind of agree Gravity Lando is kind of an amazing set. But I think this Mence set was cool. I think Yachi would have been a little bit better because you're never going to sweep at that Mence as long as Weavile is around. It's just going to come in and ice charge you after. But very well played on both sides. Very few misplays. A bit of an over prediction on Geo at the end of that game. I felt Metagross coming in on the Conkeldurr was extremely obvious. There was no way he was going to risk his Landorus at that point. So I felt like Drain Punch was the play, but he clicked Ice Punch and it cost him a lot of momentum and almost cost him the game. So be careful. But I like Geo. I like Geo again. Played well, prepped well. Kind of those moments of genius and not so genius, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on. You wanna start us off on Callum?
Yes, so you have Callum at 6, I have Callum at number 4, and I really like the way Callum played in prep. He's also very new to League format, and you saw that shining through a little bit. Mostly standard, but a bit non-standard stuff that was specifically brought. He brought what he needed to, but Callum, you gotta be a man, my dude. You gotta run full special T-Tar, alright? But actually look at that. Full special T-Tar with, just Stone Edge and or Superpower, probably Superpower for Hydreigon, actually put in a lot of work versus Tup's team, because like I said, a powerful mixed attacker does work to Tup's team. I mean, you run that Fire Blast, you run that Dark Pulse, you run Stealth Rocks even, and then just Superpower. You could do a lot of damage to Tup's team.
Yeah, especially to his wall core of Blissey, Slowbro, Tangrowth. That would have definitely put in a lot of work, but I like this set.
Do not be afraid, Callum. Do not be afraid of special T-Tar.
If there's anybody that should see X-Scissor, Excadrill coming, it should be Tup, right? I mean, he's used it before in the past. But no, I liked Callum's prep. I also love the way that he's playing. Very solid. We were seeing great things from him right at the beginning of his career, I guess you could say. The special Crobat, just always very nice. Great bring on his part. The Shaman cleaning up with Giga Drain.
Shaman was very good. It wasn't scared of Blissey with Leech Seed. It kind of just baited in Blissey, honestly, and just gave everything on his team fat recovery.
Exactly, yeah. Giga Drain, Dazzling Gleam, Air Slash for everything else other than the Blissey. The Emboar was just such a huge threat this game. He brought it. He knew to bring it.
No Wild Charge, though.
Yeah, no, but it had Toxic.
Didn't think that was necessary.
It had Toxic, so it definitely could have worn down the Slowbro.
Yeah, but it couldn't 2-hit KO it even after that with Toxic as a regenerator.
No, obviously, but I mean, then Tup would be forced to switch out. I just liked all his sets. I don't have a huge problem with any of his prep. The light screen on Aromatisse put in so much work as well. I really just liked the way he approached this game, and hopefully we can see more of that in the future.
Yeah, so my few critiques of Callum, like I said, I overall liked what he did. SD Drill. If you see a Tangrowth, you run SD Drill. You're not going to break it otherwise. Your team kind of dealt with it. You had the Crobat, so I kind of understand it, but I still think, you run Shuka or Chople. Probably Chople with your team is more likely because of the T-Tar and the Excadrill. Run Chople, SD up again as it tries to hit you with a move, and just X-Scissor or Poison Jab and kill that thing. Also, a big problem, I believe he had Volt Turn this game quite a bit, actually. Did the Crobat have U-Turn? It did, right?
No, I think it was Mono, Air Slash, and Heat Wave, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it did.
No, it did have U-Turn. You're right. You're correct. Yes.
So, and he got momentum quite a few times, and he didn't go into Emboar every single time and get a kill when he didn't see Slowbro. That was a bit of misplaying on my part. That's just me, though. But a very ballsy read versus the Nidoking. Fucking love that. I wish he would have seen the Willow Shandy coming. Go full special T-Tar. Go in. But he did play Shaman and Bat very well. Got to give him credit where it's due.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on. At number 5 for me, I believe. Or do you want to do your number 5
first? Let's do Lars first.
Yeah, let's do your number 5 because you have him at 5, I have him at 3.
Yeah, we basically mixed these up as well.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I'm a big fan of Lars, and I love the team that he drafted. At first, it didn't seem so great with the first 8 picks, I believe, and then the last 3 kind of just closed it off and made it really solid. And he's showing why he can use his defensive core properly. He got 3 kills with Rotom Heat. which is not often seen as a super offensive mon. It'll normally be shoved into a defensive position as a fire type, but he was able to clinch out 3 kills with it. As you said before, Magirna put in work. He had to sack off the Donphan and the Decidueye to the recoil to be able to pull out the win because of the Scarf Flare Blitz, but he was able to do that and still pull out the win. Ultimately, wins are more important than differentials, so great play on Lars's part, knew what he had to do to win the game, close it out. So I'm liking his team, and I love the way that he played this game and prepped for it.
I go for 6-0s until it fucking costs me the game.
Only 6-0s.
Only if you don't 6-0, you lost the game.
All right.
But Lars built a core with his team. I was fucking amazed. He did it. I critiqued that team for not having a core, and he built one very, very well. He said he did not want to click non-offensive moves this entire season. He got a little bit of non-offensive moves in there with the Decidueye Donphan and Latias, but he used them very well. The Lati set was cool. The Rotom kept momentum in his favor. He recognized it, put in a lot of work, and he brought a set that did damage. Again, I think Tom could have prepped a little bit better for the Rotom heat. Rocks, Spadef, Nidoqueen, could have saw stuff like that, but he did play with it very well. I would have considered a Calm Mind Magirna, and that's just me looking at the matchup, because it comes in on a lot of Tom's walls and sets up, specifically Vaporeon, Porygon 2. If it comes in on one of those, with enough Spadef investment and a Calm Mind up, you could probably make sure they don't 2-hit KO your substitute. And then he basically has to sack either Zydoge or he has to sack Incineroar trying to break it. And I think that is well worth it, because, like I said, if he sacks Incineroar or Zydoge, then either Donphan or Decidueye is just going to stop them in their tracks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I would have loved to see the Calm Mind on Magirna as well. You did mention that P2 and Vape were setup fodder, and that would have been nice to see. But overall, I still think Lars did a great job. That's why he's my number 3, and he's your number 5.
Definitely, 5 is no laughing matter. But we get to go to see Aster. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a stall player. All right, I don't think you understand. I don't think people.
You need to fucking shut up about your stall play.
Okay, that's the last time I'll make that joke. It was satirical these times, guys, because I saw the 80 comments.
I know you're a huge fan of Cooper. So.
I do like Cooper. I like that he's timer stalled one of the hardest teams in my opinion to timer stall, because I called Chimp's offense one of the best in the league, and then this man 3-3s him at the end of a fucking hour-long battle. But I mean, Cooper, nobody knows how to use his Zapdos like him. He knew Breloom and Swellow both had good matchups, brought them. I don't know how I feel about no Magnet Rise Klefki versus a Kyurem Black, but it was Specs lucky enough for him, but that was iffy. Scarf Cloyster, why not? That's his standard. That's his standard at night. Shell Smash. Who needs +2 speed when you can have +1 speed, Aster? That's my question.
Who's gonna waste a turn on that? You're wasting time by not clicking offensive moves. Did you not hear what Lars said? Come on.
Yeah. Anything that is not doing damage is a waste of time.
I love the way that Cooper was able to recognize that Zapdos just repeatedly clicking Thunderbolt and nothing else would chip away at the Kyurem Black enough for Breloom to come in and just win, or not win, but just finish off the Kyurem Black, which is a huge threat to his team.
What if he'd have brought Jar's Choppleberry Roost?
And then he probably would have lived. But I mean,
I'm just fucking.
No, but I mean, Cooper did a great job. He recognized the specs. He did everything that he needed to do, and I don't think he was necessarily trying to bring it down to a timer stall, because he could have definitely still won the game.
I actually think Cooper wins that game. Yeah, if it goes past the timer, I think Cooper definitely wins that game. So you call it a timer stall. I mean, Chimp basically saved differential because of the timer, in my opinion. So
yeah, basically, because that was Cooper's game, and I think he would have pulled out a 2-0. Pretty easily, but he does get the 3-3 win. I
love that he brought the mono setup Reuniclus. That set is fucking dirty.
Yeah, the acid armor Calm Mind, that was very nice. Great on Chimp's part, bringing that fortress to put an end to that.
Like Cooper didn't see it coming, but honestly, none of us saw that coming. If you just watch the game from Cooper's side,
that's why I love Chimp and his prep, and I really hope that he starts pulling out wins. I mean, it wasn't technically, it is a loss, but it's technically not a loss. And I really hope to see more of that from Chimp this season. He comes up with some pretty creative stuff.
You freaking hypocrite! He would have lost every time. It's not really a loss. It was kind of a loss. You get your fucking facts straight, man.
It's a loss. It's a loss, and I want to see more creativity like that from Chimp this season. I absolutely love seeing that from him. But from Cooper, just great job. The team that he brought, it was just on point. He did everything that he needed to do. He recognized that his electric and flying type was the superior electric and flying type, as he said in his video. So
that's why Tapu Koko's not a round 1 pick, guys. There are 3 better electric types.
Yeah,
Zapdos the Thundies.
Yeah, Zapdos is definitely one of the best mons on Cooper's team, showing us why it was his round 1 pick. So definitely a great job from Cooper there. Hopefully we can keep seeing that this season, keep seeing him do exactly what he did last season, maybe bring into a championship game again.
But I think we're approaching an hour, and we get to talk about the last 2 teams, and I can already hear the comments, so let's just talk about John. We both have him at number 2. You want to go first, or do you want me to?
I'll go on this one. John did just a great job. The Haze Milotic, he kept it till the end. He knew that he absolutely needed that to win him the game, to make sure that the Gator didn't sweep him. He also put on a ton of offensive pressure with his Tapu Bulu throughout the entirety of the game. He knew when to sack his Skarmory, when to not sack his Skarmory. He knew to switch out of his Goodra. It was just really solid play on his part. His prep was, I mean, there was nothing wrong with his prep, really. Everything was pretty solid. I have nothing bad to say about him. Do you?
Honestly, no. Still is one of my favorite teams. I think he played it really, really well. Did what he needed to do. In John's mind, though, I know it was a 1-0, but in John's mind, the way that game's playing out, as soon as Delmise went down, the game was over. So, a 1-0, but kind of that dominant kind of 1-0, you know what I mean? Where he kind of knew how to lock the game up. It just had to be a 1-0, because Dan played really well in the beginning and middle game. But his prep was definitely influenced by how offensive Dan played in that game, and I think maybe John's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive if he wants to stick with that, because Dan had bad team matchup and very, very closely almost pulled that game to his side.
Yeah, so John's going to have to be careful if he wants to keep this rank. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's definitely, everyone's on thin ice. It's week 1. But he got predicted a lot at the beginning. That's the only thing I'll give him crap on. But basically got Dan to sack what he needed to for his Milotic to win. So, good job, John. Keep doing stuff. But we get to talk about the guy who we both think is the best and most powerful coach this season so far, Monotui and the Tampa Bay Luxrays. Aster, go ahead.
Yo, Mono is just a phenomenal player. I've seen him play multiple times. We saw him last season. He took over and used a team that he didn't even draft. And just brought it. He almost made playoffs. It was just fantastic. Honestly, he did a great job this game with his Buzzwole. Bringing Scarf Buzzwole just put on so much pressure. The one thing I'll knock him on is his Greninja. Like, why didn't that have enough speed to outspeed the Cobalion? We will never know.
Our number 1 ranker didn't EV a Greninja correctly. That's rough, my dude.
Yeah, but he did win, so there goes that bold prediction out the window. Not a misgen loss. He did pull out the win. The Mantine was great. It was there to wall the. Was there to wall the Kyurem, and it did its job. It even picked up 2 kills along the way. I really wish that the Jirachi would have done a little bit more work than just trying to flinch down a Crocodile. But no, honestly, Mono just showing us why he is one of the scariest players to play against in Draft League format and Counter Team format. And he did that really well. I just wish Zygarde also would have picked up a kill. It just narrowly missed out on that kill. I really thought it was Sturdy Magneton, and that's why Crimson had kept it in, but it turned out to be Analytic, and it ended up knocking out the Zygarde because of a min roll on the 1,000 arrows. But honestly, just amazing. This again, I'll bring it back to the Scarf Buzzwole. That put in a lot of work, and I can see that Mon putting in a lot of work for him this season.
Yeah, and Mono played very nicely. The Greninja, what the fuck, Mono? You had like a 2-3-0 in your favor. It was only a 1-0. You gotta be careful, my dude. But unfortunate he could not run the Choppleberry. If you watch his team builder, unfortunately he had to run the Choppleberry. He originally wanted to run Cupstat Berry, and the fucking Galvanized Explosion would have been memes, my dudes. Like, getting off that explosion would have been nice. I'd done a crap ton to that. I think it was the Cobalt that was in at that point. But the Greninja set was nice. JK, fuck you, Mono. Sorry, I love you, Mono. Mixed emotions. Brought the right Buzzwole. Jirachi set worked perfectly. Give him a fuck ton of props for that Jirachi set. That thing worked amazingly.
Really solid. Yeah.
HP Ground Ironhead sub. You know, I got critiqued on Twitter for saying Serena was not offensive enough, and it got subs set up on it by Jirachi all day.
Yep.
So, we'll see that. Mantine worked, so, you know, fuck everything. Zygarde, nice set, ripped the neck. It tried. And I just got to give it to Mono's plays. You kind of see how Mono is kind of on another level when he has the actual guts to stay in with his Buzzwole at the end. I don't even know if I have the guts to make that. I definitely don't think I have the guts to make that play when the game is on the line.
There was no way he was sure of the Kyurem being Chople, and he still considered it and read the fact that Crimson had a higher likelihood of switching out into Magneton on that turn, trying to catch the Mantine, which was amazing. That wouldn't have even happened if it wasn't for the low roll, but we don't talk about rolls. They're not hacks. So great stuff on Mono's part, just sealing out the game 1-0. Again, all of these games came down really close. We even had a timer stall that it resulted in a 3-3 loss for Chimp. So.
Not a 6-6.
Yeah, no, not a 6.
Hashtag not a 6-6.
Yeah, and no, I think that's going to wrap it up. Jar, do you want to close us out on this week's Power Rankings?
I will gladly do so. I want to thank Aster so much for coming along with me this week. Sorry, Rob, I miss you, buddy. I'll be watching our video every night, crying myself to sleep. But Aster, I do appreciate you coming on. I hope you guys enjoyed the Power Rankings. Leave your Power Rankings down below in the comment section. We definitely want to know what you guys think. And yeah, one thing I just want to say before we head is that, you know, we get a lot of criticism, but as Power Rankings, but we are big boys. We can handle it. Trust us, we'll be just fine.
Bring it on.
Yeah, we get to talk up here for an hour and give our opinions, and then we can't just silence you guys. That's not fair. Feel free to give your opinions. Call us cucks. Call us whatever you need to do. But we are out for now. Aster, give your outro. Let's get out of here.
That's going to be it for us, guys. Make sure to leave that like button down below. Click that like button down below. Subscribe to the GBA channel as well. Make sure to check out the Game of the Week tomorrow, which is actually my series that you guys will see coming out tomorrow, Friday. And we will catch you guys later. Peace.
Later, guys.
Here, that assault vest is dirty! Whoa! Saucebucks 1-0, Season 7. Fuck you, Jar. Fuck you, Rob.